Welcome to What's Happening, the CAF Notes video series where we explore the story behind the media. Enjoy today's episode. Today's What's Happening tells the story behind a photo that was taken on a dairy farm not too far from Green Bay, Wisconsin in the US just a few years ago. Green Bay is famous as the home of the Green Bay Packers American football team. Let's go see the pack. The nipple bottles all contain colostrum. Also, we have some silage samples, probably for forage analysis, and a bottle of antibiotic along with a needle, and I think someone's lunch. Yikes. So what's happening? Let's leave the biosecurity issues of storing human food along with animal feed and improper antibiotic storage alone for today. Although the idea of storing my lunch along with corn silage reminds me of some fermented foods I've eaten in the past.
Kimchi, corn silage for people.
Actually, I want to focus on the bottles of colostrum in the fridge and the risk of bacterial contamination. This is a situation I see on farms in many places around the world. The issue is that the refrigerator really isn't a great place to store colostrum. Here's a PowerPoint slide I use when I talk about colostrum management. The slide shows the results of a study conducted at the University of Minnesota and published about 20 years ago. The researchers collected colostrum from fresh cows and then stored the samples at room temperature, here in blue, or in refrigerator for 1, 2, or 4 days. They measured the total plate counts, which measures the total number of bacteria in a milliliter of the colostrum. The graph here shows the times of storage on the x-axis and the total plate count in CFUs, or colony forming units, per milliliter on the y-axis. At collection, or 0 hours stored, the pooled samples had about 100,000 CFUs per milliliter. This is the maximum we want in colostrum, so already this colostrum would be considered not great from a microbiological perspective. At 24 hours, the samples in the fridge had increased from 100,000 to up over 500,000. At this point, the samples are too contaminated to feed the calves. The pH had declined also as a result of fermentation by bacteria. The number of bacteria in the sample stored at room temperature was actually 18 million per milliliter. I couldn't fit that on the graph, so it looks something like this. Wow, this is terribly contaminated and completely unfit to feed. By 48 hours or 2 days of storage, the samples had about 1 million and 4 million, depending on the type of storage. Both had lower pH, and the number of bacteria represent the amount of fermentation going on in the colostrum. Now keep in mind that the words fermentation and colostrum generally shouldn't go together. In any case, neither of these was appropriate to feed the calves. Ditto the samples at 4 days. The bottom line here is that by 24 hours, the microbiological quality of the colostrum was such that none of the colostrum should be fed. Without some kind of intervention, refrigerating colostrum more than 1 day is not a good idea. Here are a few references if you'd like to take a deeper dive into the topic of colostrum storage. Feel free to stop the video and scan the QR code to go directly to each. Long ago, we didn't know as much as we know today about refrigerating colostrum. CAF note number 13, which I wrote back in 1997, says it's okay to store colostrum for a week. Not so. 1 day and no more. It's a case of changing our minds when we learn new information. CAF note 215 gets it right. Of course, this was written more recently in 2020, and we know more about the topic today. This note suggests that a fridge can be used for 1 day to store colostrum. Otherwise, it should be frozen. Other publications offer different recommendations for how long we can store colostrum. A quick review of these 3 articles suggests that these recommendations range from 1 day to 1 week. Don't believe the recommendations for more than 1 day. Remember, calves crave clean colostrum. Trust me on this one. Use the refrigerator for no more than 1 day unless you're pasteurizing or using a preservative such as potassium sorbate. That's a topic for another episode. Generally, colostrum should be in one of 2 places, in the calf or in the freezer. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.